I want to give you my number one key level to trade off of, which is the 15-minute opening range. Now, if you've seen any of these videos, you know I love the VWAP, and my number one VWAP is probably going to be the New York VWAP. And when you compare that with this opening range level, you can find really great trades in the direction of trend. So let's go over on this day, Tuesday, a little bit of the strategy as well of how to trade it. On Futures 2.0, the strategy that I teach on ASFX TV, I give you a whole breakdown on the A through Z on this strategy. But let's go through an example here. On the first break of open range low, which is that first 15 minutes of the New York session, right? So you can see it sets these lines for me because I have the indicator for it. But you see the break of opening range low. That's a great confirmation that sellers are in control. If you couldn't tell already, they're below the New York VWAP, so they're in control. And they're taking out the open range low, even more control. But I don't want to be chasing that first break of open range low, and I never really want to be selling it at the lowest price of the day, right? And up until that candle to the left, that is the lowest price we've been at. I like to see a pullback to this opening range level and trade the next leg down in the direction of a trend, right? So you can see we get a new low a day. I'll also anchor a low a day view up to there so I can see the next time sellers step back in is going to be a break of that low a day view up. But look at this horizontal line, that opening range low level, how well we just respect it. And they're also touching the New York view up. That's what I'm saying. When you compare these two together and they line up nicely, you get really great levels to trade off of. That sellers are definitely in control. You could trade this low a day view up break with the stop loss above structure. You could trade the next low a day break, this next one, whichever one. They're all the same because you're playing this price of I want to be short around opening range low with a stop loss above. Because if we're no longer holding opening range low, when we break higher, get me out of my shorts. So we're not holding that level like I thought we were. But you do hold it because the trend is nice and bearish, and you get a nice new low of day in the direction of trend. Now let's zoom it on out with this edge fill indicator. That's how I have this opening range. You can actually double click on and go to the settings. And on the top here, you can go to the numbers of days back. I have it normally at 1, but for this video, let's just put it to 10. So you can now see, when we zoom out, we can see the last 10 opening ranges. And if you have access to this, you can always get it down below. But if you already do, I would do this and just go study. How do these days react off of these levels? So you don't have to go mark them up. You can just quickly see this previous day, how well we pulled back to opening range low and New York VWAP. What happened there? We had a new low a day, pull back to these two levels, and another new low of day. So you want to position yourself in a short around that level. Now, they're not all going to be that perfect or beautiful. That's a great day. Let's just even go, that's chop BFOMC. So I don't really want to go over it, but I guess there's some plays in there as well. But we're not trading that. We just went over this day as well. Now over here. And of course, this all goes well when you match it and combine it with that New York view up. So I guess we could put that on here just for the sake of this video. That same thing, very choppy on this day, but eventually the place to be short is either New York VWAP or on the breakout of open range low. I love my trades when they're outside of the open range low in terms of we're retesting underneath it, kind of similar to this, right? That we broke underneath it, but sellers are holding underneath. Let's go continue this structure that we're clearly forming more bearish. I think it was on this day where I tweeted out. I normally like box it off. I say, if we're in this zone, do not touch it. It's too choppy, not clear who's in control. Let it break out and trade it somewhere in here, either to the top or the bottom. And in this case, we get it to the bottom. Because if we're outside this open range low, one, it's a great sign of potential trend, right? We don't want to be stuck in that first 15 minutes of the day. Why would I want to be at the same price we were in the first 15 minutes of the day 4 hours later? If we're clean trending, we should be gone at new levels, leaving the open in the dust. But if we're still around there, not great. So always try to let it get outside that opening range to find the greatest trades, even on this day. This was also another example. Let it do whatever it wants in here. The open range is choppy, but then once it breaks out, you get a nice retest above it and a clean move in the direction of trend, which is now looking bullish, right? Because you clearly made the new high of day. Let's go back here. What is this choppy mess? Dear Lord. But let's do it. Let's throw on a New York view up. What did it look like since the open? I'll make this a little bit thicker. We get a push, not the first break of open range high. This second break of open range high runs really nicely. Pulls back. Now, maybe some people bought it right when you got to the overnight view up or the New York view up and opening range high. But notice that is the price that pays, but the timing of it is maybe 30 minutes later. That's the time it moves. Buying it off of that open range high. So if you can see this full pullback come in and buy it on its way back up outside the opening range, that's a nice, clean, beautiful move back in the direction of trend. Still reading these higher lows on the bottom today. saying there's our higher high. Let's go make the next one. So I think this opening range high level, obviously there's some days like we went over the very first one where it pins it perfectly. This one clearly breaks below the opening range high, but it's still the level that pays depending on when you play it, right? It pulls back, but buyers take it back, and that's the price you want to be long from. Now it's up to you to try to not guess, but try to be timing it as a little bit better as well. Let's go back to one more day back here. Ugly open, down, back up, new high a day, but what are the price that pays? Retest off open range high, retest off open range high, and retest off open range high. What do we got over here? What is this price action? Strong drop, pull back, doesn't respect it, or doesn't make a new low, I should say. Holds underneath open range low, but cannot make a new low a day. That day didn't work. Shame, shame, shame. They're not all going to be beautiful. Clearly, some of these price actions are terrible. This day broke the open range high and never looked back. Never. So you're not going to use it on that day. That's for sure. But there's just plenty of sessions when you want to be playing off of this level. I think going back to this first one here, on this current one, it's a great example of how many times, sometimes, we play the opening range early on in the session. And then as you trend very strongly in the afternoon, you kind of put it aside and you now focus maybe on the initial balance or some other level. Because like I was saying, I don't really want to be around the opening range later in the afternoon, because if we're strong trending, we're going to be where? If we're strong trending, we're going to be down here 4 or 5 hours after the open. I don't want to be back inside the range way later on. But when it has clear moves like this that we're definitely showing some signs of gas, that we're not just been stuck in a range all day, that's different than having been trending and now be back in the range. That's different than we never left the range, right? So I definitely think just go back and study it like I just did here on this video. Go back 20 days, 30 days. Just visualize and see how does it respect these levels on the clean days, the choppy days, the slow days, volatile days, all of it. If you compare this key level with the key VWAP of New York and identify the trend, be on the right side of that VWAP, I'm serious, you could find some really great trades and get in before the herd really jumps in, because at this point, everybody wants to be short. I think it's pretty obvious because you just saw it strongly reject the open range low in New York, but you don't want to have to jump in super late because they're not all going to run as far as this one did, right? You run the risk of jumping in now because it looks super bearish, but now it's ready to pull back a little bit. Well, you jumped in too late, but if you can get in during the pullback or when the pullback's ready to now jump again, it doesn't really matter how far it runs because you'll probably be out well before it's over because you got a really great price, great stop loss to invalidate the idea that you're probably not early, you're probably right on time. You just got to give it time to leave the station. So hopefully that made sense. Hopefully you guys check out this open range. And again, I trade all this every day on ASFX TV. We're live at the open. Here's the full strategy of the key levels I talk about as well as these VWAPs. But if you go to the live streams here, we're live every day. And if you miss it, you can go to the catalog and check out the replays. James's month there. Damn. Lots of green there. But you'll see how we go over these levels. We went over this trade today as well. Break and retest underneath New York. It's there every day. So tune in. You can start a free trial. You can also use code Evan to get 50% off your first month. Also study the 2 courses while you're there. And we'd love to have you make some money together. But I appreciate you guys tuning in. Feel free to drop any questions you have down below on the strategy, on the course, on the BSC, everything and anything. I appreciate you guys. I'll see you on the charts tomorrow morning.